Good morning, guys. I want to give you some more specific steps and some rules and a couple more examples on balancing chemical equations. So first, let's go through the steps. First step is to count the number of each type of atom on both sides of the equation. Second is to add a coefficient to the side with the lower number of that type of atom, whichever one you're focusing on at that moment. Step 3 is to recount the atoms for the molecule that you added a coefficient to. And then step 4 is just to repeat as necessary until everything is balanced. I have 3 rules that you need to keep in mind. The first rule is that coefficients apply to the whole molecule, okay? Second rule is that you cannot change subscripts. They're there for a reason, leave them. Last rule is more of a suggestion, is that polyatomic ions can be counted as one, like, quote, atom if it happens to be on both sides of the equation in that form. So I'll show you an example where that works out. Let's do this top example first. We have hydrochloric acid plus oxygen gas creates chlorine gas and water. So I want to do my first step. I want to count each kind. So I see a hydrogen, a chlorine, and an oxygen. And I'm going to make sure to put them in the same order on both sides. Divide it, just to make my life easier to compare. So on this side, I have 1 hydrogen and 1 chlorine and 2 oxygens. And on this side, I have 2 hydrogens, 2 chlorines, and only 1 oxygen. Okay, so since I have twice as many hydrogens and chlorines on my product side than my reactant side, I'm going to go over here and put a 2 out front. And remember that 2 multiplies by the hydrogen and the chlorine. It goes for the whole molecule. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so now that matches. My oxygens still don't match though. So I need to change this oxygen. So I'm going to go and put a 2 out front. And that's going to change the whole molecule. So 2 times 2 for that hydrogen is 4. I have to account for it even if it's inconvenient. 2 times 1 for that oxygen is 2. So now I've got 4 hydrogens on this side, but only 2 on this side. Uh-oh. I've got to up it again. So I want 4. I only have 2, but I want 4. So I'm going to change this coefficient to a 4, because 4 times 1 is 4. And this applies to that chlorine too. 4 times 1 is 4. So now I've got 4 hydrogens on this side, 4 hydrogens on the other, 4 chlorines over here, 2 chlorines over here, 2 oxygens, 2 oxygens. So I need to up my chlorines. Chlorine is by itself on the product side, so all I'm going to do is put a 2 out front. 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 and 4 hydrogens, check. 4 and 4 chlorines, check. 2 and 2 oxygens, check. Great. We can leave it as it is. Let's move on to the next one. I have zinc, then copper sulfate, and then I've got zinc sulfate and then just copper. So this would be a single displacement reaction. And actually the one above would be a single displacement too, because I've got these lonely guys on both sides, and I've got a lonely guy over here and a lonely guy over here. Let's erase those marks so they don't get confusing. And then let's go through our steps and start counting. Give myself kind of a divider, make my life easier. So I have 1 zinc on this side, and I have 1 zinc over here. I've got 1 copper over here, and I've got 1 copper over here. And then I've got an SO4. I have 1 of those. And look, SO4. And I only have 1 of those. Hey, this is already balanced. Okay, this is already balanced. So we are good to go. We just wanted to make sure to check through the process. I still want to talk about those polyatomic ions. So let's say I was trying to balance this and I wanted to put a 2 right here. I could say, okay, now I've got 2 coppers, and then I've got 2 sulfates. Okay, see how I can apply it to the whole polyatomic ion? I'll always try to put parentheses around them, but you'll eventually figure out how to identify them. And it only worked out because I have sulfate on the reactant side and on the product side. If it ends up dissociating, separating out in the product side, then you can't do that. But on this case, I can. Okay, I'm going to erase this stuff though, so that you know that we don't actually want to balance this one. It's good as it is. I just wanted to show you an example. Okay, we're going to be doing lots of practice with this. You'll pick it up pretty fast. So I'll see you guys later.